gorgeous to be alive. I mean, look at this. We got the coconut trees, the ocean. It's just beautiful here in the Philippines. And I guess it depends where you're at in the Philippines, right? Not everywhere is the same, but the Philippines has a lot of beauty and tropical places. I just got a message from a friend from Hawaii, a Filipino, and he said, everything's too expensive here in Hawaii. I got to move back to the Philippines. Got to go back to my homeland where I can afford to live. Just save your money if you can in Hawaii. Come back to Philippines and enjoy your life, because life is very enjoyable in the Philippines. And the Philippine people are very nice, and much more nice than the Hawaiian people. I lived in Hawaii and it was really different than the Philippines. There's a lot of Filipinos in Hawaii, a lot of Samoans, a lot of Polynesians in Hawaii. And there was a lot of Filipinos that actually went to Hawaii and was working like in the plantation, like the Dole pineapple plantation many years ago, because I experienced that and I saw the history. So I know that a lot of Philippine people went over there and they stayed. But it's expensive to live outside of the Philippines. And I know we complain about the high prices in the Philippines, but everywhere is really high prices, not only the Philippines. So you should feel blessed if you're in the Philippines, because it's very expensive to live all over the world, especially California, where I'm from. The prices are so expensive, and gasoline is expensive, rent is expensive. It's just a hard life. So the Philippines definitely is a better life than, let's say, other places. So don't dream of like a different life. Just be content of like where your life is at and enjoy it, because in the Philippines there's so much beauty. There's so much to live for, and it's just a wonderful place. So enjoy your life. Enjoy the Philippines. But yeah, today we're going to talk about like how people kind of underestimate people. And in my life, I've had a lot of experiences where people underestimate me. And that may be good, because if people are underestimating you, you can kind of read what's happening. You can read their minds in a little bit. And I don't know why the people underestimate me so much in my life. But it's kind of good they do, because you can kind of see what's happening and you can adjust. And that's one thing that in this modern day and age, that people are smarter nowadays than, let's say, they were many years ago. So when people try to like scam people, or let's say people, let's say in America, the government in America tries to give you a big lie of what's happening, and scam and stuff, what's happening. And then when they tell you a lie, like this is the lie, and then like, no, that's a lie, because everyone's smart nowadays. And that's what's kind of different about our society than, let's say, 40 or 50 years ago. My chair just broke. My chair just broke, and I better stand. I was sitting down and my chair broke. Let's see if we can see my chair. Oh, my chair broke. So I gotta be careful. And I don't want to fall down. I'm near like a cliff. So if I fall down, it's like goodbye. And maybe some of you want me to fall down the cliff, and then some of you maybe not want me to fall down the cliff. But life in the Philippines is good. But what I was trying to say to you before my chair broke and I almost went down the cliff is that, like, people are smarter nowadays. Like if you have children and stuff, like the kids are smart. They're on tablets nowadays, and they're just, life is just a different than it was, let's say, many years ago. So the children advance very fast nowadays. They develop. And so everybody is kind of living in a modern world where everything is so much more advanced than it was, let's say, many years ago. So that's kind of something that's good and bad in a way, because it's good because a lot of people nowadays, they understand what's happening. And whether it's politically or whether it's in our own personal life, and it's difficult to scam people. So that's why I always tell people it's best to be honest and tell the truth, and kind of not get yourself in a bad situation as far as lying, because people know that. People know that you're lying. And I have had many workers in the Philippines stealing and doing things like that. And I'm like, why are you taking my things and stuff? Like, I see they're missing, and they're like, no, I didn't steal them. And I'm thinking, like, a lot of people think that you like fell out of the apple tree yesterday, that you don't know what's happening. But the truth is that we live in a modern era where everyone is kind of smart nowadays. And so to like try to think everyone's stupid is really makes that person who's trying to scam you, it makes you look stupid. Hello, hello, Jerry. How you doing? Yeah, people like are smart. Like, Jerry, you're smart. You said hi to me. That's smart. But people are not stupid these days. They're very intelligent. We live in a modern world with computers, with laptops. Like I say, even little children, age 5 years old, are getting smart and stuff. So this everybody is getting more advanced. The world is more advanced. So to try to think that you're smarter than the next person, that's not true, because everyone is kind of smart nowadays. So don't think that like you're smart and everyone's stupid, because the truth is, if you think that way, then you look like the stupid one and everyone is smart. So don't lie and scam and try to like fool people, because it just doesn't work anymore. It did probably, 50 years ago. You could probably trick people, before the internet and stuff like that. But nowadays, everyone is so advanced. And even me, I have workers working like on my house and stuff, and they always think that I'm stupid, and they're stealing stuff, and they say, oh, the price is this, the price is that, and they're always trying to like scam me. And I'm like, I look bad on these guys, and I'm like, these guys are like, pieces of, what, tie, because nobody's stupid these days, and everyone understands things. So when people try to trick other people, that that's a trick, and it makes you look bad. So that's why I say, like, you know you don't do that kind of stuff. Hello. Hi. And life is good in the Philippines. It's always good to be honest. Like I mentioned before, like I had like neighbors that were always cheating people and stuff, and they were always running away, and they're always like being chased by like the police and stuff, and by let's say like the people they work for. And I'm like, why do you do that? Like, why do you go ahead and like promise like a service to people, and then you don't do it? You cheating people. Like, that's just insane, because you think the people that you're cheating are stupid? The millionaire people who are smart, you think they're very dumb? I think not. So it's just a bad life. I had a neighbor doing that, and he did that. He was stealing from me and cheating the people. He was in construction. He was putting shitty concrete in when he promised to put good concrete in. And then he wasn't putting the Cavilla rebar in. He was just like, nobody's looking. He wasn't doing that. And the concrete was cracking and stuff. And people were like chasing this guy all over. And he was running, and he was in jail, and he was running to state in America. And I'm like, dude, what's up? Like, why do you do that to people? Especially rich people, because rich people are probably smart, right? They kind of, or like, they know how to like think if they accumulate wealth. So you can't cheat people, it's very impossible. And this guy, he was my neighbor since I was like born in California. He messaged me about it 6 or 8 months ago, maybe a year ago, on Facebook, on Messenger. And he's like, hi, this is Larry. Hi, Bryan, and I'm like, Larry, what's up? And he goes, all my friends, he's a few years older than me. He says, all my friends have passed away, and I want to make you as my new friend. And I said, I'm sorry, Larry, but you are not my kind of friend. And he's like, what? I'm a very nice guy. And I'm like, Larry, you've been scamming people all your life. You've been cheating people. You've been tricking people. And I don't really like you as a friend. You were my neighbor since I was birth. And I got to see who you were. And you're not the kind of person I want to be friends with. And he goes, I'm a good person. You know, like he was tricking me, right? I said, no, you're not. And we had a neighbor down the street named the Schonebaums. And Jerry was the boy, his age, Larry's age. And Larry went ahead and was stealing lots of money from Jerry. And his mom, Pat, was telling me, like, we're going to kill Larry if he comes around. He stole lots of money from my son, Jerry. And Jerry was best friends with Larry. And now Larry's stealing from his best friend. Like, what kind of guy is this? And Pat said, I'm going to kill Larry if I see him. And Pat had passed away, so she never got a chance to kill Larry, which was maybe sad to say. And so Larry's talking to me, and I said, you know, Larry, you're a bad guy. And he goes, what do you mean I'm a bad guy? I'm an angel. I'm a very nice person. He's a liar too. And I said, no, you're not. You were scamming your best friend, Jerry. And his mom, Pat, was telling me she wants to kill you. She wants to kill you. And he said, what? I go, yeah. He said, you've been scamming people for years and you've been doing a lot of bad things. And it's not good to do that. And Larry says, oh, like he knew I knew his stink. And I said, yeah, Larry, why haven't you changed? You've been a bad person all your life. And then you think everybody is stupid? You think we live in a day and age where like you could just scam people and then they're like, I don't know what's happening. That's not true. People know what's happening. Everybody, you even have a 5-year-old nowadays on these laptops. They know what's happening. So that's why I say don't do that. So I told Larry, like, well, it's best that we're not friends, Larry, because I try to be a good person as much as I can. And I don't want to associate myself really with scammers, whether it's in America or the Philippines or any other country. I don't like these kind of people who take advantage of people and who like steal and cheat and rob people. So I told him, you know, Larry, it's best that you just like go away. Now I knew Larry since birth. And you know, I used to fight Larry all the time because I didn't like to fight. I'll tell you a story. Tell you a story. When I was a little boy, I didn't even know what fighting was. And Larry came up to me and started beating me up as like a little 3-year-old boy or whatever I was, 4 years old or whatever. I was young. And I didn't even know what fighting, I never even knew what fighting was. My family's very loving. My mom was very loving. And he beat me up. And I was like, what is this? Because I didn't know what happened. And so he was 2 years older, so he's a little bigger. And then I said to myself, you know what? I'm not going to let this guy hurt me no more. If he fights me, I'm going to fight him back. He was twice as big as me as like a 4-year-old. He was like 6 or 7. But I said, I have to fight this guy because I got hurt. You know, it hurts when people punch you in the face and stuff. And he was hitting me hard. And I never experienced a fight before. That's probably my first fight. And so anyways, one day I was walking in front of his house. We had this like bushes, like called ivy, and they're very big bushes. And Larry jumped me over in front of his house, and he was beating me up. You know, he was like punching me out. This is the guy who just tried to be my friend recently. I told him to go away, and the guy was on top of me punching me, and I said, Bryan, like, don't let this guy hurt you. Like, he attacked me. He just sabotaged me. And he was bigger than me and older than me. He was stronger than me. But I said, I'm going to fight this guy. Like, I don't like to fight, but I had to because this guy was going to kill me. So anyways, I started punching back, which first time I ever did that. I do a little training now, so I kind of know how to do it. But back when I was 4 years old, I didn't know what was happening. And I start punching that guy. And then I got on top of Larry and I started beating his ass. I was beating his ass. He was bigger than me and stronger than me. And I had more determination, let's say. I've always been a fighter. Like, I never like lay down, you know, like even since birth, like, you know, I've lived my life having to like defend myself and kind of stand up for the things that I felt was right. And so I ended up rolling Larry over in the bushes and I was beating his ass. I was beating his ass. I'm like, dude, don't you ever mess with me again. Like, I was mad. I was only like 4 years old or 5. I was just learning how to tie my shoes, learning how to speak English. And I had him in the bushes and I was beating him. And then I look over and there is a pounding on the window. And I look over and it's his mom and dad, Hal and Rose, his mom. And they were pounding the window and they were yelling, "Leave my Larry alone. Leave my little angel alone." They're yelling through the window. And I said, "Oh my gosh, the parents, his mom and dad were watching me beat his ass." And I'm like, "No, I'm going to beat his ass." Like, I didn't let his parents stop me. So I'm beating this guy's ass. He's 2 years older than me and twice my weight. He was a big dude. I was small. And his mom came out and grabbed me by the arm, like by the bicep. And she had these big red like nails. She dug her nails into my arm. I was only like 4 or 5 and made my arm bleed. And she said, "Get off my son, you little devil. Get off my son." And I'm like, "I'm not a devil, man. Your son is the devil. He started this fight and I'm finishing it." And she grabbed me and her dad came out and his dad and said, "Get off of him. You're bad. You're evil. You're hurting my little Larry." And I'm like, I was mad. And I said, "You tell your little Larry, who's 2 years older than me and twice my size, don't ever touch me again. Don't ever touch me again. I will beat his ass. I will hurt your son." Because he made me so angry because the guy was older than me and he was twice my size, like he was strong. I didn't even know how to fight, but I had to realize that this guy, like he deserved it because he was attacking me and he was going to hurt me bad. So that's the same guy who tried to con himself like, "I'm a good guy now." And I told him, "You're a horrible guy, Larry. You've always been a horrible guy. You've never been a good person. And guess what? I don't like people like you. I don't like you." And he was shocked. And I said, "It's best that you just like go away and don't come back no more because I don't really hang out with people like you." And so this may be our last conversation. We started life together and we're not going to end it together. That's for sure. Because he's a scammer and a bad guy. So he knew, I knew like how his life was, like what a terrible person he was. He knew I knew his stink. And he knew that like I wasn't going to tolerate that. So as a human being, we have to do that. We have to stand strong. And if people are really bad and stuff, we have to get rid of them from our life, whether it's like a dating situation or a friendship from school, or whether it's like anyone really. We need to get rid of the bad and keep the good. And Larry like left. It was like, I don't know, it was like 8 months ago, a year ago, it was a while ago. But I told Larry, "Don't talk to me no more." Because basically, go away. And he taught me some things though. One of the good things Larry taught me is that don't cheat people, because he was a big cheater. And I had a construction business in California and I was a licensed contractor. And Larry, I guess, was a licensed contractor, or maybe he wasn't. I don't know. He was a bad guy. So I'm not sure if he had a license. But like I mentioned, he cheated people all the time. All over America and other countries, these contractors are cheating people. They're putting like bad concrete in. They're tearing roads up when they don't need to tear them up and just messing with people. And they're stealing money like crooks. And got an ant, I think, in me. No, thought I had an ant biting me. But anyways, Larry was cheating people left and right, and just he was running away. He moved every state to state, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to like have a stable life. I want to live in one home. I want to come home every night and like eat dinner like normal people do. And I want a good life, like I don't want to be running from the police and cheating people, having people wanting to like hurt me and stuff. I just want to like live normal. Maybe I didn't make as much money scamming as Larry did because I didn't scam. I just worked a normal business and then came home. And he taught me that that's the best thing to do. To don't be a cheater. Don't be like ripping people off and lying to people, telling you like, "Oh, put the concrete in," and then you don't put the concrete in. I mean, don't be, because people are smart nowadays. And so when I ran my business, I used Larry as my like bad example of what not to do in my business. And I had a construction business like Larry, and I had it for like a long time, for like more than 20 years. And I had no complaints at the contractors board in California. I was a licensed contractor. And when you work with the public, it's easy for people to complain, especially if you're cheating people. They will complain fast, and they'll complain even if you're not cheating people. So it's really difficult working with the public, especially in the United States. They're really kind of raunchy. And I realized that I didn't want any marks on my contractor's license because I just didn't feel it was the right thing for me to do in my life, to have a lot of black marks on my record. So all my business every year, I love my work. It was so much fun, and I was probably one of the best installers of the jobs I did in the county. And it was really good. I loved my work, and I always took care of my people, and I never scammed anybody. And if somebody had a problem, I would fix it. I'd say, okay, what? They go, I have a problem. I go, really? What? And they go, I need this piece over here. And I go, well, you didn't pay for that. Like, you didn't include that in your estimate. And they said, oh, yeah, I did. And they didn't. And I said, oh, you want that piece? Okay. It was like a 5,000 peso or so piece in the Philippines. I go, okay, I'll just do that for free. And they're like, really? You'll do that for free? Because they're scamming me. I'm getting scammed. But I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I'll just do it. No problem. So I do that. And so these people who are scammers, they're happy. Do you think they're going to complain? You think they're going to contact the license board and say, I scammed Bryan and I'm going to make a complaint? No, they're happy. They're happy that they did bad. They're happy that they scammed me. But it didn't cost me that much, like it wasn't like a big deal. So I always treated my customers like with dignity and respect, and always knew that if they ordered something, I had to provide that service exactly what they ordered. I couldn't just put like a bad product out there. And I guaranteed my service for a lifetime, but I ended up retiring early and coming to the Philippines because I had such a successful business. I could do that. And I made a lot of money being honest and good, because a lot of people think that if they cheat people, they're going to like get rich. But that's not true. You get rich by being good and honest, because I would get a lot of business and I'd say like, why did you come to me? I always ask that question, like, why did you choose me? And they said, well, not everyone, but some people said, I contacted the contractor's license board and you had a perfect record and you've been in business for many years. And you're like the only one that had a perfect record, because we're checking all the contractors around. Everyone has black marks, but you're clean. You have no record. You have no marks. You have no complaints. And I said, because I take care of everybody and I'm not cheating nobody. And nobody's mad at me. I go home every night, eat my dinner and go to bed and wake up and go to work and stuff. And they said, that's why we chose you. And I was actually the highest priced worker. I charged a lot of money in my business. So I wasn't like working for free. I was kind of like high price, but I gave high quality work. And I didn't get every job. I mean, not everybody chose me, because some people want the lowest price. I kind of like low price too, so I don't blame them. But I was not the lowest price. And I missed a lot of my customers, like people that wanted work, because my price was a little like high. But I told them, you're going to get quality with me. You're not going to get like junk. And in California, a lot of the Hispanics and stuff were starting to come in and illegally and working and stuff. And they would do like crappy work. No offense against Hispanic people, but they didn't speak English and they're kind of like lazy workers, or they were sloppy workers. But me, I took pride in my job. I love what I do. I wake up every day very excited to go to work. And work went by fast. And when it was time for me to have an early retirement, I like, where did the time go? You know, because it was so fast. Because I love my job, I love my business because I didn't have any problems and I just enjoyed what I did. So if you're like good and honest and stuff, let's say in any business, time goes by fast. And if you love what you do, that's the main thing too, is if you love your job, because a lot of people when they work, they don't like their job. They're like, oh, I got to go to work. I hate my job or whatever. Or they got to punch the time clock and stuff. They're not happy. And but when I had my own business, I made pretty good money. And then I was excited because every day when I went to the bank, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to the bank today. You know, it was like a game, and I was happy because I liked to deposit checks in the bank. So that was fun. So that kept me motivated. And and people would contact me and like I say, and say that, you know, I chose you because you have no record. You have no complaints. So I made a lot of money by being good. And I made more money by being good by being like a cheater or a scammer. So that's kind of like the way I decided to like stay my whole life, you know, like by watching Larry doing bad things, he taught me, don't do that. It's not worth grabbing a quick peso, a quick dollar, and then hurting people, because those people that do quick steals, you know, like they scam fast, you know, it's bad because everyone's smart nowadays. Everyone knows what you did. So always try to be honest in your dealings, especially your business dealings with people, and just do the like. It doesn't hurt to just be a good person. You know, it doesn't hurt to just, if you say you're going to do something, to like do it. It doesn't hurt you. And it's best for your business to just be honest, because you will make a lot more money by being good than being bad. So I kind of learned that lesson from that guy, my neighbor Larry, and I apply that my whole life and it really worked. And even like if I have workers, let's say, you know, fixing my house or whatever, my villa or whatever, you know, my motorcycles and stuff, I'm always good to them. I always make sure that everyone's taken care of, and I make sure that nobody gets scammed or nobody gets hurt and everyone gets paid, because if you're good, then everyone likes you. And it's just always good to be like nice to people, to pay your workers and not have any like people angry at you. Don't have anyone angry at you. And living in the Philippines, I never have people like angry at me. And I never like do bad to the people, you know, like cheating them and stuff like that. If I have a worker, I pay them because I don't like to do everything. And you know, the Philippine workers, a lot of them are good. You have to kind of like tell these workers what to do, because they'll be lazy and they'll do a shitty job if you like don't supervise them. And I'm always supervising my workers, like, hey, you got to do this, hey, you got to do that, because these guys will cheat you. You know, they'll do crap work if you don't do that. But once people realize that you're not going to pay them if they're not going to do a satisfactory job, then they like start working good and they start behaving. So they look at me like a foreigner, like, this guy is very stupid. Like, look at his face. He looks like a dumb guy. And I'm like, don't say that word. Don't say that word. Because that's what happens in my life. My whole life is people underestimate me. They're like, I don't know what it is about me. Maybe it's my face or the way I'm a nice person or whatever. They think, oh, he's very stupid. He's a nice guy, so he's a dumb guy. And I'm like, that's not true. That's not true. But people always underestimate me and they always think, you know, this guy's dumb. So that's why I always have to supervise and I always have to watch people, because they will like cheat you or they will do crappy work for you. So, but if you supervise them and you watch people, then they do good work. So it's always good to just kind of watch people. But my whole life, people always like judge me wrong. And I've had some investments in my life that the sort of the owner, one of the owners of the land, they always thought I was stupid. You know, they always trying to trick me and scam me. And I don't know if they were from another country. They weren't from my country, but they just or always trying to like scam me, like make new tricks and stuff. And I'm like, dude, stop. Stop trying to like scam me, because it really shows that you're a bad person. And some people who are bad, they don't really care. They're just like, I'm bad, so that's who I am, and they make a living out of like hurting people and cheating people. And I don't understand these kind of people, really. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a perfect angel, but hurting people and scamming people, I don't think so. And I do my best to like, be a good person, like the best of my ability. But these guys don't do that. They just do their best ability to scam you and to hurt you and to steal what you have. And that's another thing, is that in life, if you have something, you have to realize that there's a lot of, unfortunately, there's a lot of bad people out there. And a lot of these people will try to take what you have. So it's important in life to, if you have something, to protect that. That's why I don't drink, and that's why I don't smoke. And that's why I do a lot of exercising and keep my body strong, do a lot of boxing and do a lot of training, because people will take advantage of you or me. They will do that. And if they think they can get away with that, they'll definitely, do that. So, people just like, they just want to take what you have. And so if you have something, whether it's a car, a family, child, possessions, pri- pro- personal property, anything, that people sometimes want to take that. They want to like get jealous and say, this guy has a nice car, this guy has this, or this guy has that. And they want to like take things from you. So I learned in my life that it's best to like always protect yourself and always think ahead, like never think behind, always think like one step ahead, so that way people don't get you, they don't scam you. And like I mentioned, that's why I don't drink alcohol, because I want my mind clear. I want to be sharp. I don't want to be a drunk stupor. Oh yeah, like people who are drunk all the time, do you think they can think straight? You think they have a good mind? Do you think that they're thinking advanced? No, they're just like floating around in la la land, la la. And my birds, la la, la la viva, la la viva. I love you, I love you. That's what the drunk people are doing. They're just floating around in bebop's la la land. Can't do that. Can't do that. And that's part of being strong, is you have to have a clear mind. You can't be intoxicated. You can't be drunk all the time.